Well, I have live in the studio the special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on media and publicity. He is also the special envoy, Nigeria special envoy on climate action, Chief Ajuri Ngelale. Welcome to the program, sir.
Always a privilege to be with you.
Yes, let's quickly start with what's happening at the moment now, the strike or the threat by the Nigerian Labour Congress to down tools beginning on Monday, which is tomorrow. A meeting is ongoing with in the National Assembly with its leadership, hoping that all of this can be averted. But what really is going on now? The federal government has told Labour what they can afford, and Labour is saying that is still not enough. Is it the federal government being adamant, or Labour Labour is unrealistic with its demands?
Thank you very much, Femi. I think the starting point is to recognize that His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would love to have a minimum wage in this country that is even north of 1 million naira per month for every Nigerian. He would love to be able to do that. He does, and his administration does, have the highest regard for our people, and we believe they do deserve the best. But we also recognize that there are economic realities and fundamentals within the country right now that do not support what the organized labor movement is advocating for. And I want to be very clear this evening about what the consequences would be if organized labor got its way. Right now, there is this notion out there that the minimum wage conversation in the country is simply almost a conversation between a federal, executive administration and organized labor about a new minimum wage for the federal civil service. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about a new national minimum wage for every Nigerian citizen, both within the formal economy as well as the informal economy. This has ramifications. Essentially, we're moving from the current minimum wage where it is to, if labor got its way, something north of 500,000 naira per month. You're looking at almost 20 times, right? So the impact that would now have on the citizens of the country, we're not talking about government now, we're talking about our people, is, I want to be practical about this. If you're thinking of the mom and pop shop that is dealing in chin-chin and bakery and these kinds of goods and services, the idea that you are going to mandate them to 20 times whatever it is they're paying their staff within that small business, you know that you are essentially mandating the closure of that business, and you are literally indirectly sacking an entire set of people who have families because that business is closing, because they cannot live up to the minimum wage that organized labor is asking for. I'll be even more practical about this. Aside from mass job loss across sectors across our nation at a time when we are looking for new job opportunities for the teeming youth population in the country, you're also talking about private schools, for example, where you are now going to be mandating for not just teachers, but janitors, cooks, and the like, a 20 times increase in the wages they will have to pay. What that will now mean is that if those schools don't just close, or if they don't have to go into a mass retrenchment exercise, what it will also mean is for the Nigerian citizen right now who is currently, grappling with what we all agree is an unsustainably low minimum wage as it is today, he or she is now going to be grappling with school fees that are 10 times plus what they presently are today. Not to talk of the price of food items, not to talk of the price of so many other goods and commodities that our people, even if they're in a struggling state, can kind of try and afford. It now becomes totally unsustainable. So these are, I think, some of the real pragmatic assessments that need to be made public so that everyone understands that this is not just a matter of government not wanting to budge or government wanting to maintain as much of its revenues as possible. No, we're talking about an existential issue to the Nigerian economy, and it should be treated as such.
Okay, that tripartite committee is negotiating with Labour on behalf of the president and the government. Now, I know you don't speak for that committee, you speak for the president.
That's right.
Will the president be willing to shift grounds?
Let me say that we have never had a more pragmatic president who recognizes the very minute and acute challenges that our people face. I mean, this was a president who, when he was governor, went to the level of paying NECO fees for indigent families in Lagos State. I mean, that is the level of attention to detail that he pays to issues confronting his constituency. Now, the nation is his constituency, and he's no less concerned, if not even more so, given the wide raft of responsibility. So, he is a man of empathy. He is going to do what is right, but he's also going to ensure that while he does his very best for Nigerian families, irrespective of which part of the country they come from and what sector they operate in, he's also going to ensure that there is not a mass retrenchment as a result of any, as a result of any kind of move by organized labor to try and push, the government to a threshold of agreeing to something that is in effect unachievable and unsustainable.
Okay, this is coming at a time when the administration is basking in the euphoria of that 1 year in office celebration. We have seen the president go around, inaugurate major projects. We have seen scorecards being reeled out by ministers and all heads of government agencies and parastatals. It's 1 year of President Tinubu's administration. Different comments, divergent views and all of that. But really, what are those things in actuality that Nigerians can see and touch and say, indeed, 1 year is worth the time?
Femi, I don't know that it's basking in euphoria so much as it's just a recognition of the very hard work that has gone into, making the country over the long term a better place to live for all of our people. And that's why we've had, I think, very muted celebrations on the part of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Instead of the pomp and pageantry, he's been out commissioning projects that will have direct impact on people's lives from Lagos to Abuja. And of course, we've seen commissionings all across the country within the states as well. And then on top of that, we saw the president, for example, really communicate very clearly about what it is his administration has done through, of course, the Federal Executive Council members, the honorable ministers, giving their scorecard as to what has been achieved. But I would like to touch on just a few things, right? It's no secret that His Excellency, Mr. President, has now overseen the effective implementation of the Presidential Power Initiative with Siemens Energy, which is ongoing now without any hiccups, as we had previously seen under the previous leadership at the Ministry of Power, for example. It's now going on very well. We're seeing those substations arriving in the country, and as a result, we're seeing some level of relative stabilization within the currents across the country. We still have a lot of work to do, which is why we're not clapping and dancing at this point. We also would look at the oil and gas sector, where there have been major, announcements made with respect to over $6 billion of investment coming in from various IOCs in new deep offshore production, which is obviously going to ramp up the revenue of the Nigerian Federation. I think it was just the other day we saw Ogun State being announced as another frontier oil exploration, a state of exploration. So you look at gas, for example, where the president just recently unveiled 3 new gas processing and handling facilities in different parts of the country to ensure that we're not just producing raw natural gas for export, but that we are monetizing to the greatest extent possible value additive gas products that we can now not just use locally to satisfy local demand, but ultimately export the surplus as we begin to ramp up the establishment of these facilities around the country. Again, new pipelines are being completed across the country. Of course, the OB3, the AKK, we're getting ready to extend that across the Sahara now, so that we have the trans-Saharan Nigerian gas pipeline that will ultimately pipe Nigerian gas up to Western Europe, creating a brand new stream of billions of dollars in revenue. There's so much that has been done. If I look at road infrastructure, it's no secret that the president has obviously flagged off the 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar superhighway, in addition to the Sokoto-Badagry superhighway that's coming up here very soon. We have new rail links that this president is putting in place, an extension of the 326-kilometer Warri-Itakpe rail line that from the Warri end will be extended into the Warri seaport to create more port access in diversification away from just the western seaports. But then on the northern side at the Itakpe end will now be extended up through Kogi, through Lokoja, all the way up to Abuja, so that as we link Abuja-Kano very soon, when that's finished over the next 2 years, you're now going to be able to move goods from northern Nigeria down to the south or to the southwest as the president completes the branch from Ibadan all the way to Abuja as well. There is so much to talk about. I can't, of course, exhaust everything he's done in MSME capitalization, 200 billion in grants and loans to over 1 million nano businesses across the country, in addition to the fact that this is a president who has also now ensured that he is the president that goes and reforms our tax code in such a way that we can ease the process of doing business in the country for foreign investors by taking our current net number of taxes from 63 down to single digits over the course of the next few months. And we've seen the way that investor confidence in our economy has grown, and we've seen the way that that has manifested in the growth of tax revenue within the FIRS over the course of the last 6 months. There's a lot that we can talk about.
Okay, but will we see a cabinet reshuffle soon? Because the president, at the inauguration of the new ministers, said that he is going to let go of non-performing ministers. Nigerians have been waiting to see that happen. How soon? Is it in the offing?
Well, look, the president is not a man who is driven by television commentary, and he's not driven by just sheer emotion. He's driven by a pragmatic assessment of facts and figures with respect to the performance of the members of his cabinet, and he's going to take decisions accordingly. And so he is not going to rush to meet up with any kind of deadline set by public commentators. He's going to do it in his own time, but he's been very clear with all members of the cabinet, as well as most recently in a meeting with Ariwa leaders. He said it very clearly that any cabinet minister, irrespective of how well they know him personally, if they are failing Nigerians in terms of bad performance or poor service delivery, he will sack them without thinking twice. I think his background shows that he means what he says, and that continues to be the case. But I think we should be clear about the fact that unlike maybe previous administrations since 1999, where some of these decisions are taken arbitrarily just because a president wants to be seen as shaking things up, the president is going to be taking his decisions based on a measurable set of indices that he set under the office of the Special Advisor to the President on Policy and Coordination, the performance contracts and agreements that all ministers had to sign. They will be judged according to that template.
Okay.